Come on, man.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
All the way up to the finish line. Who is it going to be? And it's Sean Perez who wins in Crescent.
Ty Fisher wins $1,000 in K100 Junior.
Alex Stanfield played it perfectly here. Told him to wait. Stanfield wins the Duffy in 2024 for TV Karts.
Amarillo Kart Complex is now the official distributor for TV Kart in the continental U.S. Become a dealer today.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I want to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
That's like $20 a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like $50 a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all of the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
Paulie Massimino wins in KA. Paulie Massimino is a winner in OKN Stars.
Take your driving to the next level with one-on-one coaching from 2024 OKN Stars champion, Paulie Massimino. Kart rental options are available if you'd like to keep yours at home, and drivers in all classes are welcome, from Briggs 206 to Mini to K100 and X30. With in-depth data analysis, onboard video footage review, and lead follow on-track sessions, each private coaching session will see you end as a more complete driver than when you started. Book your coaching session now.
The K1 Circuit Semi-Pro League. This is a competitive race series with 2 classes. Junior Series for those who are under the age of 18, and the Senior Series for those who are 18 or older. If you think you have what it takes, come out and prove your skills on League Night. Both schedules are live on the K1 Circuit website. Your Kart Chaser live feed will resume shortly.
Here today for your 206 cadets as the field works their way out onto the track here, and we are going to see a lot of great racing action. Taylor Burris here along with Justin Prince, and we'll soon give you your starting lineup for your 206 Cadet Heat race in today's action.
It's going to be an interesting time for this afternoon, how these drivers are going to fare out. The sun's back out to play. The temperatures continue to rise. Now we see where the barometer is set for our heats today as we look at that grid, Taylor.
Here is your starting lineup. It's going to be James Fox on the pole, followed by Diesel Maxwell in second. Row 2, we'll see Patrick McNeely and Kyler Hendrickson with Grayson Wyatt and Bo Laser in row 3. Row 4, we'll find Atria Rittenhouse and Miles Hale rounding out your 8-cart field.
Seen Fox keep up what's been a stellar day for the 12 machine in the previous session. Going to be interesting, though, how things now shape up once they actually start battling on the racetrack here. I expect things to be a bit intense off the start. We'll see how things really shape up with the packs once they get going here over the course of the 5 minutes.
Absolutely, as the field works their way around the circuit here to get set to go racing here, waiting for the gates to open up and hopefully get set to go racing. Once again, as we're waiting, I believe for certain things, should be going out now. Taking a check to make sure no one's out on the track that shouldn't be out on the track. Make sure officials are out there in their proper corners. And hopefully we can release the drivers out, and the gates are open. It's time to go racing once again as they head out onto the track. There you see the Mohawk man, Diesel Maxwell, looking to try to see if he can take home a victory here this weekend.
Yes, indeed. These drivers going to make sure all the temperatures in those tires before they get rumbling around this racetrack here. Diesel Maxwell looking to party his way all the way to the front. And it's going to be the question on how they handle the battling. We've seen a lot of overlap in these hairpins earlier today in the latter parts of the hairpins, where some of the drivers, especially the leader, gives a wide berth for the start of the Rhino liner before they arc it on down for the apex off. And it's going to be where a lot of these drivers may see free real estate and dive back on there. Now, the run through Daytona is also a good setup area where it's set up a couple opportunities here today around this racetrack. As well as in that final sector, things have gone side by side in the later portions. It's worked. It's hard to do, though. So, we're about to see how these drivers play things out as the field gets ready to double up.
And we are doubled up, ready to go racing here once again as the field makes their way through over into the corner. And so far, we're going to see some great racing action here as they come on up into the start lane. Time to turn them loose and get themselves ready to go as they head into the start zone. And away we go racing, heading into the tram line. Do we get the clean green flag? Yes, we do. Green flag is out, and away we go with our 206 cadets. Heading over into turn number 1, it is going to be James Fox who leads the charge as we have a couple of carts looped it around right there at the entrance of the corner. Everyone else goes single file here as James Fox leads the charge. A little further back, we see a couple of others jockeying for position. Maxwell dropping back to P4 as he's struggling to try to make sure he can hold on.
That outside line just didn't go. Quite simply, the first 3 carts on the inside just powered their way easily on by. That's just with the timing of Fox, and better yet, just able to get that preferred line for the corner. Now it's going to be where the rest of the inside groove gets all settled in from those starters, should say, as they battle their way around the rest of the lap.
Putting the first lap up on the board here as they come out of the final corners across the line. James Fox leads the charge here by just about a little over half a second here as they work their way through. Patrick McNeely, Grayson Wyatt sits P3 for the time being as they come through into the double apex up to the top of that first hairpin. And as they do so, big run coming here there for them as they work their way into the second hairpin. And Fox has a good run. McNeely, though, looking to try to put a little pressure as Grayson Wyatt's going to try to work with him and hunt down his teammate in the top cart.
Yeah, right now just working together here. Grayson Wyatt, we've seen throughout this day, just remain patient, but McNeely seems to have a good amount of speed for the corner apexes right now. Seems to be set up well for gearing. Just isn't getting the line completely right, though. We lost a lot of ground because he clipped the curbing. Grayson Wyatt might be forced to press the issue here because of the time lost. Yes, he is.
Oh boy, that's going to open up the door right there for Grayson Wyatt to take over second place. McNeely, though, has to try to be careful and not lose any more time. He currently has a good gap over Diesel Maxwell, who sits P4, as him and Kyler Hendrickson battle for the 4th spot as they come up to that first hairpin, nose to tail, and you saw right there, McNeely showed the nose a little bit, hops over the curb just briefly, and continues on his way.
Yeah, right now, this is all working out perfectly for Fox to be able to keep a distance and build it bigger and bigger right now. Fox isn't making those little mistakes that we're seeing for some of the others right now. He seems to be dialed on in perfectly around this racetrack to start off this race. But Grayson Wyatt might be able to keep lockstep. They aren't in the same type of cart here. Half a second the distance right now. We'll see if that closes up here the next time by.
So far, it is still at half a second, and now we're going to work our way through into that triple apex and down into the double as they approach the 2 hairpins up towards that first hairpin. Wyatt gets a good run, but can't quite seem to close that gap here as they work into the second hairpin onto the back straightaway towards the bus stop chicane. There you see the battle for P4 between Maxwell and Hendrickson. They'll go side by side. Now Hendrickson slots back into place behind the driver of Diesel Maxwell up to the Daytona curve.
Remain patient in terms of how their timing's going on right now. Maxwell has not been able to have the same speed replicated that he had in qualifying, unfortunately. The race pace on the average so far is, even with his fastest lap last time by, still half a second back on the curve right now. The deficit has now gone up another 0.8 of a second with the last time by. He's only able to just get underneath the 1 minute mark. That's not going to win you the race later today.
No, it's not. With under a minute to go for our competitors, we should get the 2 lap to go signal next time by for your competitors, as we see Wyatt really now starting to put some pressure on them as they come out of that second hairpin and keep on the charge between the 2 teammates of the Top Kart machines. Coming through the bus stop up the banking of Daytona, they will go. Grayson Wyatt looking to try and steal the thunder of James Fox. He wants the shot at the top step of the podium, and he seems to have that better pace at the end of this run as they work through the infield section. 20 seconds to go, plus 2 laps. Let's see, do we get a bonus lap? I think we might. And yes, indeed, we will get 3 laps to go for your drivers across the line. And last time by, we see James Fox ran a 10th faster than Grayson Wyatt this time by.
Yeah, Grayson Wyatt doing solid on the close right now, but it's not enough to try and make a pass right now, in my opinion. You need to be able to get an extra 10th or 2 a lap to be able to really have a true shot if you want to be close enough. McNeely's doing a good job bouncing back on pace, though, as well. If they start making mistakes there, McNeely is in a prime spot for the long run, I think, to be able to try and pounce later on in the day today. Right now in a 5-minute race, it's not there, but McNeely seems to be playing the race card, or rather, should I say, the card that sets him up for the final for later today to be able to get the overall big picture race down.
Big picture coming into play here as we get the 2 lap to go signal as they come across the line, and both of them run their fastest lap of the race. But the thing is, does Grayson Wyatt have enough to try to set something up to make the pass on James Fox as they come out of the triple apex through into the double? Wyatt now just trying to see what he can do. He's got a couple of good spots where he can really get closed in on the back bumper of his teammate, but then he just loses a little bit at one point or another where he has to then reel back in the race leader as they head down the back straightaway. Didn't have a good launch off corner exit of that hairpin. Now has to try to find his way back up through the bus stop. They go up to the banking of Daytona, and as they head into that final hairpin, you see right there, Wyatt gets a good run. This is where he showcases a lot of speed, but just doesn't have the opening he needs to get the spot as they come down to the bottom, and he gets a bumper to him. Not close enough to make the pass as they come through out of the final corner. White flag in the air.
This race is sprinted on by here. A new fastest lap. Grayson Wyatt set it by a couple 1/1000ths of a second here. He seems to be in a decent spot. Not close enough to make a lunge yet, though. Backing up the corners, trying to get the power down. 4-corner exit. Trying to take a shower through that side of the hairpins. Now they work their way to the far side through 5, up through 6, another set of hairpins. Runs the inside curbing. Needs to be an extra kart length closer to have a true shot right now, but he's pushing hard with the draft.
Big time push coming here on the final couple of corners out of Daytona. They head into the hairpin. Grayson Wyatt sends in a big run as they come up through the field, and so far so good for James Fox. They come out through the infield section. Big push coming from Wyatt as he tries to see if he can sneak his way to the bottom. Not going to work. Shows the nose across the line. Checkered flag in the air for James Fox as he takes another heat race win here at K1 in Whiteland.
Able to hold back the late charge from the 5 machine. Now it's going to be interesting where the pace really settles in for Grayson Wyatt later on today. Will that carry over to the final for the final few minutes where that switch will go from the 12's direction to the 5's direction? This is one of those telling signs here that we might see that late stage be much closer to potential switch in the final.
Already, we're going to see excitement here as next up is your 206 Sportsman Heat, as we are waiting for the last little bit of your cadet drivers to head back out onto the behind the pit wall and into the scale line to make sure everything's good and legal for them. And we'll open up the gates as here they come, and they're going to fire the engines for your sportsmen. Here's your starting lineup. It's Kason Hendrickson with Leah Simonellic, Christopher Heinzen, Blake Martinez, and Lincoln Wiley in your 206 Sportsman division. So Blake decided to take a few minutes off in qualifying and hopefully show up in the heat race. I see only 4 on the track, so we'll wait till official times they come out onto the track to make sure everything's good to go. But yeah, after this morning, I'd be surprised if Blake Martinez was going to be out here racing in the 206 Sportsman division.
Yes, indeed, and Sportsmen ready to be unleashed here for this pack. Will anyone be able to set things up to be able to pass the 2? The 2 machine of Hendrickson has had the momentum their direction all throughout the day today. Will that continue here?
Hendrickson comes across the line here, and as they work their way through, yeah, we do not have Blake Martinez. I was shocked to see him on the starting lineup. I'm like, I don't think he would be. He would be scheduled if he didn't have the incident that happened to him this morning. But hopefully everything works out. He'll be back and ready to go for the next time we go racing here at the K1 Circuit in Whiteland.
Looks like only 4 of the carts hitting the racetrack out of the 5 that originally in the grid slots you were talking about here. So I think this is going to be one of those types of races where these drivers are just trying to set something up for later on today to make sure they're in prime position for the big points, where they can score 200-something on points in the final. We'll see where they shape up here as these competitors now line up. Looks like we are missing Martinez, as you were referring to. Indeed is not there.
Yeah, that was due to the fact of him involved in the Micro Mini Swift event that happened this morning.
Yes, correct. And now We'll see how these drivers race themselves out here, Taylor.
Absolutely, as they come through the final couple of corners to come take the green flag. As Kason Hendrickson will lead us to the green flag. Elliot Simonellik right there in the hunt to see if he can take him a shot of victory. And as they enter into the tram line, we will get a green flag start. And already Hendrickson checks out and gets a good jump on the field, is already battling a little further back for that second spot as Simonellik, Heinzen, and Lincoln Wiley all jockey for position. And moving up into second place, I believe, will be Lincoln Wiley in that number 44. Whereas that's Simonellik trying to get a good look at the number here as they work their way out through the two hairpins. So far, so good, and it's all clean and green as they head down the back straightaway.
Yeah, Hendrickson just checking out at this point, already off the jump. Heinzen thought today might be an opportunity to be able to break on through with how things are going to the point standings, but so far, it's not going the direction that they're hoping, I think, on the speed barometer, because it seems like one driver steps away, their heavy hitter joins the conversation. That's the trend of the day here as they close the first lap already. That difference about 8 kart lengths, first and second.
Yeah, Simonellik now sits second, still holding on. Heinzen still in the third position after moving up a spot. Lincoln Wiley continues on his way, just learning about the track here. Good little run for him as he tries to pick up a couple of tenths here and there and see what he can improve upon for the feature race here today. As they come out of that second hairpin, make the run down the long back straightaway into the bus stop. Smooth through there and then up onto the Daytona banking they will go. Really good run for them for that battle for second between Simonellik and Heinzen is really going strong.
And they've been staying pretty close together so far. Heinzen trying to find a way to chip away at the gap here with that 1 kart length difference and closing. Seems to be getting in position for the pass. How about a poke to the inside? Had to back out of it. Wasn't close enough for the lunge.
Yeah, not close enough here. He's going to have to try again and set himself up. But Simonellik there in that MPG Kart Republic doing what he needs to do as he goes on the defensive to hold off the mean green machine of Christopher Heinzen in that neon green helmet. Good run coming out of that second hairpin as he tries to set himself up for a run. And as they work their way down on the back straightaway toward the bus stop chicane, really trying to push the envelope as he gets a good toe of the draft as they come out of Daytona. Not going to push the envelope, though, into the hairpin.
Yeah, just trying to size him up is all you can say. Has already showed his hand the first time. How deep it was when he tried and send it previously. Now trying to position himself once again as they move on around here. So, where will this be placed is the question. Where will the pass be placed specifically? They are starting to close up the Hendrickson on the eyeball test. They've closed up a couple kart lanes after Hendrickson's fire-off speed. So they are slowly chipping away and are in drafting distance in this choo-choo train.
They certainly are in drafting distance. Let's see how it all plays out for them as they head down into the bus stop. Hendrickson starting to lose a little bit of touch now. As it's now just about currently, apologies on the timing and scoring, having some difficulties there. But we'll keep you updated as best we can by watching on through the field as they work their way through. But Hendrickson starting to fall off here and might fall into the clutches of Simonellik and Heinzen as they come through. Finally got it up and going once again with a minute plus 2 laps to go.
Now a poke to the inside. Heinzen keeps showing it down that front straightaway coming up to the opening corners, but nothing has been close enough to actually realistically send it. If he dived it from there, it would obviously be too much speed on the corner apex, cause potential contact there. He is starting to find a different line here, trying to set up the diamond maybe. Couldn't carry enough speed to make it stick. Now gets enough speed to build it up for the side-by-side. Here we go.
Here comes the pass coming up here. Can he set it up as they head into the hairpin? Nope. Tucks back in line. not going to push the envelope with 30 seconds plus 2 laps to go. Leah Simonellik and Heinzen are really going to fight it out here as they work their way through the infield section, and in the S's crossover, not going to work as they come out of the final corner. It is going to be 3 laps to go for your leaders.
Yeah, right now they're spending too much time battling for second at this rate compared to just trying to battle to close up to Hendrickson. Hendrickson, all he needs to do is make sure he keeps up the speed, keeps putting purple sectors down like he did last time by, and he's got it. But Heinzen is pushing extremely hard to find some extra boost to have an opportunity here in this back and forth here with Simonellik. As you see the timing update now with those drivers, they are ready to try and see who's going to get the edge in this fight.
It's all a matter of pride and preference here. Who comes out on top through into the infield section. Heinzen holding strong as he tries to hunt down Kason Hendrickson and company. Simonellik holding in that position, the AMAX, as they come out of the final corner. 2 laps to go. And already, how about Leah Simonellik setting fast lap? He'll look to the inside of Heinzen, tries to send it in, could not make it work. He'll drop back to P3.
Simonellik's yet again taking some peeks here on this to reset who's who on the racetrack, the 40 machine. Simonellik on the Kart 187 on timing and scoring here. Right now, Heinzen seems to be pushing a little bit more on entry, but it's Simonellik that's pushing on exit amongst these 2 karts on the racetrack as they shape each other out here.
Just trying to see how it all plays out amongst them as they head down into the hairpin. Good fight amongst them as they work their way through. So far, so good. As they work their way into the infield section, Kason Hendrickson just out for a Sunday drive, making sure he hits his marks. No pressure. White flag in the air for Kason Hendrickson in heat race action for your 206 Sportsman.
Just has to take off and run away. That's got to be the main focus right now for him at the moment. It's been a tough kart to beat. Hendrickson has been all race long, but a dive to the inside. Simonellik making a move from the outside now for the hairpin. Crosses up, tight cut, tight pass. What a move by the 187.
Beautiful pass right there as he tries to set himself up for another run as they work their way to the bus stop. Can we see the driver of Leah Simonellik try anything to pull away? He's doing so, but going to run out of time to chase down Kason Hendrickson, but looking to have a shot maybe in the feature later on this afternoon. Through the infield section for the final time, it is going to be Kason Hendrickson who is going to be able to take home the checkered flag in the heat race here today, and Christopher Heinzen drops back to P3. Leah Simonellik, P number 2 for him as he works his way around. A great drive for Leah.
Leah able to make the move in that battle. They hit, taken some pokes a couple times in that kart, but Heinzen still get himself on the podium for this heat out of the 4 entries. It's going to be interesting how second fares out again in the final.
Absolutely. Next up on the docket is 206 Masters with their heat race next here on Kart Chaser. We'll give them a few minutes before we turn them loose as we wait for the sportsmen to head out onto the track. Here's your starting lineup for your 206. Oh, that's the Sportsman. We'll wait for the Masters heat race grid to come up here, so we'll give it a couple seconds.
Yeah, 7 drivers are going to be in this 206 Masters, by the way, in terms of the entry list. Troy Tony did not put up a time in qualifying, by the way, out of those competitors, and we know Tony, we were expecting to be very quick today. So as they now come across the timing beacon and the timing sequences now get themselves updated here, We'll see how they fare out. McCorkindale, remember, just got the edge in the final moments of qualifying over J. Brian Williams, who's been the dominant driver of the day.
He certainly has, and he is going to try everything he can to hold off Brian Williams, but McCorkindale doing everything he can. He has yet to get a win this weekend at all as he tries to focus in, get himself ready to rock, roll, and rumble against Brian Williams here today in your 206 Masters. This is going to be the fight I think everyone's going to be looking forward to seeing here today.
Yeah, it's still the previous grid showing, but I can tell you it's McCorkindale, Williams, Simonella, Kevin, specifically Tony is on the racetrack here, and Tower Demand should say, is amongst the 5 that are lined up in this group and ready to rumble. This is going to be some intense battling early on as these drivers try and set the tone in 206 Master.
Coming in here onto the tram line as they work their way up into it. It's going to be everyone lined up, astern, clean, and green. 5 drivers set to do battle. And as they come into the tram line, Evan McCorkindale leads us on the green flag. And as they make their way through, it is going to be a big checkout for him. Brian Williams battle with Troy Toney and Kevin Simonelli as they come through the double apex here up ahead. McCorkindale stretches out by a couple of karts.
Slowly building up the gap on the racetrack already as they make their way around the far side of the circuit. Corkindale trying to settle down as the third on back drivers already fighting pretty heavily right now to settle things. The old banana machine pushes around to the rhino liner.
He's going to do it and hold on here for the moment as they work their way through into the infield section across strong as we see Brian Williams and company try to chase him down. Kevin Simonelli leads a group of 2 with Troy Toney and Tyler Derman holding 5th as here to the inside, Toney gets around Simonelli for 3rd.
And expect Tony to push hard to try and test where the pace is at after we didn't see them put up a qualifying time earlier. Right now, separation 5 kart lengths between the 2 of them already on the circuit. McCorkindale is backing up the speed that he put together towards the end of the qualifying run. Seems to be in a good spot once the tires get into a good window. Right now looking comfortable on the poleway as he plants his kart to the far side, now into the closer section for the final sector.
He is really doing a great job right here as he puts his way through, continues to expand upon that race lead over Brian Williams. 57.7 for him as he comes across the line. How about Troy Toney? He's got a man on a mission type mentality as he sets fastest lap of the race and looking to close into the back bumper of Brian Williams. Does he have enough time? He's only down by 2 kart lengths here as they come out of the triple apex towards the double, and he's making short work as he closes in on Brian Williams.
Yeah, and you were kind of expecting this earlier on in the day, in terms of what we were expecting for Tony. And well, Tony is a very consistent driver, knows how to focus in on his equipment to be able to chip away gaps such as this. We've seen this from the 24 machine throughout the campaign, ready to try and go for second here, just pushing J. Brian Williams until the opportunity opens up in the passing areas.
And he is looking to do so here as they come onto the front straightaway across the line. Will we see him try and send it here into turn number 2? He looks to the inside. Troy Toney takes over second spot and sets his sights on Evan McCorkindale. Last time by, he was almost half a second faster than your race leader. So he has picked up the pace and has now got under 2 minutes plus 2 laps to go to make it work.
This is going to be important for Tony to be able to test himself here, know where the kart's at, to know if there's any adjustments needed, to be able to keep up later on with these temperatures, and to be able to battle with McCorkindale. McCorkindale, that cushion, still 1 second, mind you. That is very manageable to close up over the course of, if you have a barometer of where the time is, if you were to put this as a final, still a lot of manageable time to close up in about a 5-minute span, for example. So it's going great for Tony. Last time by was matching the lap time while making a pass, mind you, on McCorkadale.
It really was, and he has got some time to work with here. He ran pretty much a faster lap time than McCorkadale. A second is the gap, but how about Kevin Simonelli? He's 2 seconds back from your race leader, but he just dropped the fastest time of the race here as he works his way up through the field in 4th position. Up the Daytona banking, he is closing in on this battle for 2nd place, and he might have a shot of challenging Brian Williams for 3rd before it's all said and done.
Yeah, there is a slight chance right now, I think, at the moment, even with the fastest lap right now. Cushion is pretty substantial to close up in 3 laps, mind you. But Troy Toney responds with his own purple lap time. Last time by, 57 flat. He's the only driver to be in the flats. Everybody else has been 2/10 off that pace. Troy Toney could actually have a chance here by the time we get to the checker flag to maybe get 1, if not 2 looks for this race lead over the course of 2 laps. He is there in the draft.
He is right there looking to try to capitalize on it. Troy Toney finding that extra bit as they come out of Daytona towards the hairpin as they make the run. Troy Toney looks to try to see if he can put the pressure on and find his way back up to the front of the field as they make their way through the infield section of the course. Out of the final couple of corners, 2 laps to go for him. As trouble for Toney, he loses a little bit of speed off corner exit. That allows Brian Williams to be on his bumper and comes across the line. Kevin Simonelli closing in on this fight for as well as Williams puts the pressure on Toney, looks to the outside to try to cross him over. Not going to work out for him.
Yeah, big mistake that time for Toney. Just lost the back end, carried too much momentum coming out of the corner. Had to check up to avoid rumbling against the curbing. And he's lost his chance likely to be able to go for the race lead. Now the tough thing's going to be playing defense with J. Brian Williams swarming over the back end here. Already Toney's responding back with the raw pace of the Kart, though, to be able to build a buffer away from the 75.
Already looking to lead his way through the field as they come to get the white flag one more time around for Evan McCorkadale. Troy Toney has one more shot to try to make it work for him, but it might be too little too late for him as they come through around the circuit. Going to be close indeed, but across the line, one more time around, and Troy Toney's doing everything he can to close the gap as they work their way through the middle of the corner, and here he comes. Big run coming. Will he try to cross him over into the hairpin? Not close enough. As they approach that first hairpin, he'll look to the inside and push McCorkadale. I think that bumper might have came undone a little bit, though.
Well, McCorkadale bouncing off other carts still. What a swing, and Toney is now giving hand signals back, so Toney didn't like what he's seen there in that sequence. I think he's telling them, let him go. Now a spin McCorkadale's gone around. It's gone all sorts of while to close things out here, and I'm not sure this is going to be done yet by the time they get to the line.
No, it's certainly not going to be the case here as they watch these competitors work their way through. And can we see someone else? Because Kevin Simonelli has caught up and across the line. Troy Toney and Kevin Simonelli take over the win. Then it's Brian Williams and then McCorkadale, and then Tyler Durman will come home P5 in an exciting fashion here today, as I was not expecting to see this happen.
Honestly, with the gap, I thought McCorkadale had a decent separation, even with that, how things had gone there, but my goodness is all you can say in the first sector. Things just came unraveled quickly for McCorkadale. And Troy Toney, I think, was even shocked on how quickly that shifted in that race with the body language. Obviously was confused on what just happened.
Well, with that exciting turn of events here, it's time to switch it up to the KA Juniors as they will make their way up through the circuit. And we will take a look and see how that all played out here. But I have to say, I was not expecting to see that in our 206 Masters.
Yeah, that's going to be something to watch for. KA Junior, though, Ryan Morton and Andrew Avello so far have looked rapid on their pace. Ready to try and see how they fare out with Mason Gallion, Jordan Lapham in fourth spot, Dylan Thomas and Mason Ward. Then Lucian Laser inside the top 7 for this grouping. You have Madsen Vilgo is in 8th spot, and Nolan Wade amongst the top 9 here in this field. It's going to be an interesting pack, to say the very least, Taylor, to see what happens. But Mort kind of set the gauntlet when it comes to overall pace here today. What will happen is the question mark right now in this field.
I have to say for sure to see what he can do, because he has set the pace for everyone competing here today. It's going to be a tall ask for anyone like Avelos to try to go back-to-back because of what we saw out of Ryan Mort in warm-up and qualifying here today. It's going to be in warm-up and qualifying here today. It's going to be quite interesting. Avelos and Galen, if they want to have a shot against Mort, they're going to have to try something here very quickly in the opening laps.
Yes, indeed, as the field still needs to get doubled up here. Looks like they will now finally gather up and get ready to go here. Going to be a fun time up at the front again. That's been the constant theme so far. Good battling for the race lead so far, but it's also been important for a long run pace if you want to be able to actually win the race and get set up for the final later.
Field now works their way into the start zone. Green flag is out, and away we go racing. Ryan Mort, Galen, Avelos, and Lapin all trying to work their way through to try and take that fight to Ryan Morton. There goes Ryan Mort already. He's got a couple of kart length advantage on the rest of the field as he leads the charge, working on through. So far, so good. As they come out of the second hairpin, it's the battle for second between Avelos and Galen.
Galen still keeping things pretty buttoned up to start things off with a running order. In fact, already up to second in that field. Fellows just trying to reset to be able to get back the composure. Mort right now doing a good job on corner exit speed, being able to maintain grip and be able to get that kart to plant where it needs to set. In these rhino liners in particular, even with the bumps, that kart seems pretty stable.
Real stable run right there for him as he works his way through. Mason Galen trying everything he can to keep up with pace in that top kart. It's going to be a tall ask, though, I have to say, because he is really losing time on Ryan Mort. Avelos dropping back to P3. Not expected for him to do that here, as Laser also trying to close in on this battle here for a podium start in the race as they come through out of Daytona into that hairpin. And Mason Galen really putting the pressure on Ryan Mort.
And just trying to chip away, chip away. That's what the mindset has been all day long. And keep in mind, when it comes to Mason Gallion, setting the fastest lap last time by, so far has been a good driver for his karts, has been very good in the state for a while. Back in 2025, we mentioned Syria in their competitions. He was the KA100 Junior champion, mind you, for that competition in series that runs across the state of Indiana. So he's one of the best drivers you can beat in the state in general. Also has a good photography side. If you check out the social medias, has been trying to learn some of the DSLR to be able to take some good pictures.
Can't go wrong with that. We love to see our photographers hard at work here at these karting events. And as we watch, here comes Mason Galen with a big head of steam with 2.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go as he tries to make the charge. Last time by, both of them running similar lap times. Last time with a 51.9 for both of them. The gap is 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, just chipping away. But it's now the matter on, will there be enough difference in speed to actually make the move. It can't be like a McCorkindale situation every single time to open up the race lead. Let's be realistic here. But it seems as though Mort is faster in the back half of the racetrack is the better way of what I was trying to say, where he's got so much speed down the straight line that it's been difficult for Gallion to respond. Even though he is slightly quicker in the corners, the 812 just has so much launch through the gearing that he's able to stretch the gap out down the straights and be able to then be comfortable, even with the cornering speed, to be able to maintain most of the distance he built up down the straightaways.
He certainly has been able to do so here as he works his way around the circuit. Ryan Mort starting to just let it out a little bit further and further from the competition as he tries to hold on to that race lead down the back straightaway with a minute plus 2 laps to go. Into the bus stop they go. He gets such a good exit off the bus stop as well with how he's able to just flat-foot it through there. As they come into the hairpin, that car stays stuck onto the pavement. Same thing with Galen as they work their way through into the infield section through the final couple of corners. And as they come across the line, it will be looking at 3 laps to go. And there you see Ryan Mort setting another fastest lap of the race with a 51:28.9.
Yeah, looking like the speed is there again for Mort to push. 3/10 picked up again on the track. I think the speed's got enough of the distance here. Coming to 2 laps to go.
Yeah.
At this point, all you can really say at this point is get yourself in position for the final. Take the notes of where you need to improve on the different sectors. See if you can make the adjustments if you can to be able to perform when the clock reaches 10 minutes later on.
Yeah, well, that's going to be interesting to see here as we watch around the circuit. Here they come to get the 2 lap to go signal as we go a little further back to, looks like to be P3 and 4, or actually P4 between Latham, Elijah, Matson Vegas, and Lucian Laser. Those 3 having a good little fight for the 4th position. Latham trying to see what he can do to accomplish a major run for him. So far, though, not in his favor as he tries to hold off the hard charger of Matson Vegas and Laser.
Yeah, so far, Matson Vegas has been very quietly decent. That name popped out earlier on, not just for the uniqueness, since it's one of the first times personally seen him, but he's also performed well in some races, has performed in tracks like East Lansing Karting track, for example, in his career, where he was a podium runner a few times when it comes to the speed. So it's a driver from the AMAX stable from Michigan that's performed well. White flag is out. Hello, flagman as well. I hope you're enjoying the action too with the wave.
He certainly looks to be. He's got a big smile on his face as here comes Ryan Mort and the MPG machine leading the charge. Has already stretched it out to a 2-second advantage over Mason Galen in the top cart. And Ryan Mort just looking to try to close out another heat race win for him here today as he heads down into the bus stop, up through the Daytona banking, and climbs his way through, heading to the hairpin for the final time. And he set the fastest lap again last time by with a 51:07. Is he going to try to do it again here on the final lap? Well, we'll find out as he snakes his way through the infield section of the circuit. And as he comes out of the final corner, Ryan Mort and MPG and Kart Republic capture the flag here, and he sets a 50:92 on that final lap. So he does have some extra pace in that kart to get set for the feature later on this afternoon.
Yeah, Mort's going to be difficult to beat. You're expecting it. We've seen it. Yet again, backing up the speed for the weekend so far. Going to be a difficult time. Gallion has the good mid-run speed, but after 5 minutes, it seems like that 8:12 is just dialed in with how fast it is down the straight.
Absolutely, as we are now set for our final heat race of the afternoon. As we get set for the 206 Senior Light category.
And those drivers earlier today in qualifying, we've seen Brendan Heber set the tone But some drivers ready to try and upset the apple cart, so to speak. Levi Wilbur going to be amongst those in the front run. Caden Wharf, though, someone to try and break on through here today. One of the top karts ready to power their way around the racetrack here today, with Adam Maxwell also making some appearances all amongst your top 4 that stay competitive.
Absolutely. We'll keep a look here at the full field rundown. It's Heber and Wharf, Wilbur and Maxwell, Colton Kelly and Gage Justiano in row 3, Colin Harden and Andrew Petrie in row 4, Andrew Goldman and Zachary Allen rounding out your top 10 competitors. And then we have Ethan Williams and Gavin Holtum in row number 6. A total of 12 karts out here competing in today's action. So we get set to go racing here today as they work their way up for their formation lap.
Going to be interesting how things stack up. Kate in Wharf, though, is someone to keep an eye on. Does have experience, plenty of it. He actually, a couple years back in the 2010s, ran SCUSA national competition. Was able to actually, in those races, perform well back in K100 Junior back in 2018, where he finished on the podium, and that top kart referred to in terms of some of his history. So he's a great driver. It's just going to be the question mark on how he fares out against some of the best in terms of the regulars here in this series here today. Oh, and by the way, Route 66 Sprint Series driver that's won championships and X30 Junior championships before.
Definitely going to be one to watch as we come into the start line and get ourselves ready to go racing for the final heat race of the afternoon for our coverage. And into the tram line, green flag is out, and we are racing. Braden Heber leads us into the first corner as they come out through there. It's going to be a hornet's nest of competitors in turn 2, 3, and 4 as they hit the triple apex before approaching the double. And Caden Wharf trying everything, but Levi Wilbur will move up a couple of spots in this hunt as they hit the first of 2 hairpins in a race format as they work their way through. Braden Heber under pressure from Levi Wilbur.
Though, could go either direction with how things are going in the short term.
He's going to try here to set himself up, but Heber and Wilbur will once again do battle as they start to compress. We have a 6-kart race for the lead. It was Caden Wharf, Maxwell Justiano, and Colton Kelly, as we see a little bit of teamwork possibly coming into play with Maxwell and Justiano as they want to try to catch up to your top 3, maybe help Caden Wharf catch up to your top 2 and try to make a run to get around those 2, because those are the ones that everyone wants to try to beat here at Indy Karting Challenge competition here at the K1 Circuit in Whiteland as they snake their way through out of the last couple of corners, heading across the start-finish line, 3 minutes plus 2 laps to go. And how about this? Caden Wharf setting fastest lap of the race to kick off this opening run as they head into turn number 2. Wilbur holding strong as he tries to see if he can push a little pressure onto the back bumper of Heber as trouble for one kart, the number 5 of Gavin Holtum, out of competition in that VK kart.
Well, his race has come to a swift halt, is all you can say in this regard. Very punny indeed, but now up front, still no major changes. The 4 has almost closed the bridge up to get up to Wilbur. Wharf now closes it officially with this send to the corner. Now is in a comfortable spot here as Heber likes to lead as the Pine Piper down this front straightaway. Comfortable racing so far for Braden all throughout the day today. Absolutely dominant day. When you drop a second place run on your season on a final, you know you're dominating a championship. And his domination still up by almost 100 points with the drops over Levi Wilbur. Still, though, up front a change as they make their way through, everyone making changes.
Couple of drivers jockeying around, and so far that will put Braden Heber quite a ways back. Looks like to P3, possibly going to lose a couple of more spots as Levi Wilbur leads the charge up through the Daytona banking. And as they do so, it's going to be a tough one here as they fight their way through.
Yeah, right now things separate out pretty substantially up at the front with that change. Heber right on the back foot yet again. This is exactly what I was talking about earlier and what we've seen earlier. If you put him in a box, he seems to have a difficulty breaking out of the box. It's like a cat getting trapped in said cardboard box. The cat can't figure out how to break out of it unless you find a way to break down the walls yourself. And right now, Heber is having the difficulty of breaking down the walls, of making passes to be able to get back where he was now before. It's going to be interesting if this is where he ends up being. He needs to plan that thing
with Worf to try to see if he can go into warp speed and make the run into the hairpin as they work their way through out of there and head into the infield section. A little bit of a push right there to see if they can close the gap onto Levi Wilbur.
Yeah, right now, I think he's getting a little bit antsy with it. There he goes. Oh, trouble. Worf is slow. Worf's got a problem. He hobbles to a stop down the front stretch.
Heartbreak happening for the AMAX number 4 machine, who is going to have such a good run as they close in with just only 3 laps to go. They're going to get that cart, though, out of the way because that is on the racing line for the most part, especially when we go 3 wide in the features later. That's going to be not a good spot.
Not sure what happened specifically, if a chain got disconnected on the throttle pedal or not, with how drastic that got. But that is what I was talking about with the cardboard box analogy. There's something that breaks down the wall, and now it's Heber's turn to respond and close on up quickly. He's only going to get it 2 laps to push on hot laps to have a shot at Levi Wilbur.
Here they come across the line. 2 laps to go for your leaders. Levi Wilbur starting to pull a little bit of a gap over Braden Heber as they come out through the triple apex corners into the double. And as they do so, big run, but for Levi Wilbur, he has stretched it out to about 4 kart lengths.
And keep in mind, he's been in situations where he's had to bounce back before. We mentioned the street race in Elkhart, for example. In that respective race, he was actually in that karting race, someone with no brakes at one point in 206 competition in one of his races. Had also in another one, ended up having a clipping with the barrier, broke the toe out of the cart, and ended up still holding on the second. He's had to withstand several technical issues with his karts before this weekend, and as the white flag waves, his kart looks to try and find a way to close up that time by. He was about 2/10 quicker.
Yeah, he was closing in, but he might be too little too late. It's tough to pick up 0.6 of a second there, but it's another thing to pass the driver of Levi Wilbur in 1 lap. He could have the possibility of doing it, but for Braden Heber, he's got to find the way. Oh, big little bobble right there for Wilbur. That's going to bring Braden Heber into the hunt, down the back straightaway for the final time, into the bus stop. They get a good run coming for him as their top 4 separated by only just a few kart lengths from each other as they head into the hairpin. Big time send coming from all 4 of them as they try to make it work. Into the infield section once again as they work their way through. Heber closes in, but it might be too little too late. Out of the final corner, it's going to be a drag race to the inside. Levi Wilbur will capture the flag here in your 206 light heat race.
Nicely done once again by Wilbur. Held on to the very end. Heber unleashed the full power of his senior light kart, but that gap just built up with all the battling. Was just too much there. Needed an extra lap, I think, if you wanted a chance to win the race here. But some intense racing so far as the Heats have put together some intense heat in the blistering temperatures.
Absolutely. Well, with that, this will conclude our heat racing action. For those of you at the track, you get to see the kid karts go at it here. But we're going to step aside, take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be back for feature racing action, starting off with our 206 cadets and sportsmen. They're next, live on Kart Chaser.
DPK Americas is bridging the gap between the U.S. and the 2-time world champion DPK Alonso Kart factory team in Europe.
In partnership with Team Binnick, they offer drivers a complete career path from the Americas to Europe that allows them to continue their driver development on both sides of the world, all underneath the DPK umbrella.
For more information, contact DPK Americas at max@drivensm.com to take the next step in your driver development journey today.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. I'm sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I want to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
That's like $20 a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like $50 a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
The K1 Circuit Semi-Pro League. This is a competitive race series with 2 classes. Junior Series for those who are under the age of 18, and the Senior Series for those who are 18 or older. If you think you have what it takes, come out and prove your skills on League Night. Both schedules are live on the K1 Circuit website. Your Kart Chaser live feed will resume shortly.
Equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
All the way up to the finish line. Who is it going to be? And it's Sean Perez who wins in Crescent.
Ty Fisher wins $1,000 in K100 Junior.
Alex Stanfield played it perfectly here. Told him to wait. Stanfield wins the Duffy in 2024 for TV Karts.
Amarillo Kart Complex is now the official distributor for TV Kart in the continental U.S. Become a dealer today.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of
Each private coaching session will see you end as a more
For those who are 18 or older. If you think you have what it takes, come out and prove your skills on League Night. Both schedules are live on the K1 Circuit website. Your Kart Chaser live feed will resume shortly.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200?
I'm tired of all this Brandon business, okay? Brandon this, Brandon that. Why are there all these expenses on AKR over $200? We know, okay? Take a walk with me. At Shop AKR, they have everything you need to start racing at a very cheap and affordable price. They have MXC rims, they got chains, electrical stands, tilt seats, they got MXCs. And if you didn't know, on top of that, any purchase in the continental US over $200, that's free shipping.
Hey, aren't you supposed to be in the AKR Anonymous meeting over there?
Dude, I'm doing a commercial.
Dude, we have no time. It's about to start.
Stop. We all love Shop AKR. Me? More than others. What do I get at Shop AKR?
MXC rims.
Kyle, what are you doing?
It's got my new Greyhound seat.
You don't even have a cart.
Doesn't matter. I have a Greyhound.
Who the f is Kyle Cuthbertson? Doesn't even have a go.
Bridge will resume shortly.
DPK Americas is bridging the gap between the U.S. and the two-time world champion DPK Alonso Kart factory team in Europe.
In partnership with Team Binnick, they offer drivers a complete career path from the Americas to Europe that allows them to continue their driver development on both sides of the world, all underneath the DPK umbrella.
For more information, contact DPK Americas at max@drivensm.com to take the next step in your driver development journey today.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, All the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Defeated. Long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day when I went to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
It's like $20 a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like $50 a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
The K1 Circuit Semi-Pro League. This is a competitive race series with 2 classes. Junior Series for those who are under the age of 18, and the Senior Series for those who are 18 or older. If you think you have what it takes, come out and prove your skills on League Night. Both schedules are live on the K1 Circuit website. Your Kart Chaser live feed will resume shortly.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
All the way up to the finish line. Who is it going to be? It's Sean Perez who wins in Crescent.
Ty Fisher wins $1,000 in K100 Junior.
Alex Stanfield played it perfectly here. Told him to wait. Stanfield wins the Duffy in 2024 for TV Karts.
Amarillo Kart Complex is now the official distributor for TV Kart in the continental U.S. Become a dealer today.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. Long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I went to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
That's like $20 a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like $50 a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
Paulie Massimino wins in KA. Paulie Massimino is a winner in OKN Stars.
Take your driving to the next level with one-on-one coaching from 2024 OKN Stars champion Paulie Massimino. Kart rental options are available if you'd like to keep yours at home, and drivers in all classes are welcome, from Briggs 206 to Mini to K100 and X30. With in-depth data analysis, onboard video footage review, and lead follow on-track sessions, each private coaching session will see you end as a more complete driver than when you started. Book your coaching session now.
The K1 Circuit Semi-Pro League. This is a competitive race series with 2 classes. Junior Series for those who are under the age of 18, and the Senior Series for those who are 18 or older. If you think you have what it takes, come out and prove your skills on League Night. Both schedules are live on the K1 Circuit website. Your Kart Chaser live feed will resume shortly.
And with that, it is time to go racing for the final time as we get a look at the local wildlife buzzing around our camera here as we get a look at the track as we get set to go feature racing in the cadets for the next 10 minutes plus an additional 2 laps. It's time to give some some trophies out as one of our cameramen makes his way out to the station. And we are set to go racing here as we see Grayson Wyatt and James Fox getting set to lead the charge in their 2 top karts. Justin, another great day of action we've seen today, but here's your starting lineup with James Fox and Grayson Wyatt on the front row, Patrick McNeely and Diesel Maxwell in row 2, Kyler Hendrickson and Bo Laser in row 3, with Atreya Rittenhouse and Miles Hale in row 4.
Nice grouping of drivers here today, and I'm very curious on if the 5's able to replicate what they were starting to do at the end of the previous race in the heat, because Grayson Wyatt was starting to reel on in Fox and at a rapid clip too. If that happens in this race, that could swing right to the 5's direction to be able to battle for the race lead, take the race lead, and try and take the 200 points for the feature win here today. So there's a lot of focus on closing on up. And in the words of some of the drivers, hey, let's go crazy. As you see on the camera, some people are working together and having a dance party.
Dancing together, working together, playing together. Let's have a good time here. It's all fun in here for the K1 Circuit in Whiteland because After we get done with racing today between 5 and 9 o'clock, you get the chance to come out here and drive around the same circuit that these drivers are as we get set to go racing here today. And of course, K1, a great partner with us here at Kart Chaser. One of 2 tracks we cover that's under the K1 banner, of course, here at Whiteland in Indiana, and the newest facility in karting, the one out in Winchester, California.
Yeah, that facility out in Winchester puts on some phenomenal racing, a beautiful facility. But of course, the oldest in the country is also a very beautiful facility with its character and the type of racing it produces. There's a reason it's been a nice rotational stop here for several series. But these drivers are about to be put through their paces here to see can they withstand the heat and get themselves a great finish here in this one.
As we get ourselves ready to go racing here today, James Fox, Grayson Wyatt, curious to see what Grayson can do here in this race. So far, so good as we get ourselves in the formation and ready to go racing here today for the final time in the cadet category.
Curious where Maxwell gets sized up here in the midst of all this too, because Maxwell looked pretty solid before. It's just going to become the question on can he find what he had to qualify and be able to harness that for long run pace in the race today. One more look at the starting grid as the field gets doubled up. They're rolling pretty fast here to come up to the start box. They're almost running at near full pace right now, just trying to rush their way to the pace lap.
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. The thing is, they gotta slow it down before they get into the tram line. Otherwise, we're gonna have to go back around and do it all over again. Into the tram line they go, get set to go racing here. And we get a green flag, and we're racing for the next 10 minutes plus 2 laps. And already we see James Fox and Grayson Wyatt checking out on the field as they try to lead the charge in the 2 top kart machines, coming through the S's as they approach the double apex here. And into the braking zone they'll go of the first of 2 hairpins at the feature race pace. And as they do so, the battle for third between Maxwell, McNeely, and Laser start to do. And how about that? Wyatt trying to show the nose, trying to get to the inside of his teammate James Fox to take that spot away. Not going to work out for him, though, as they climb the banking of Daytona and head down towards the hairpin.
Yeah, right now the top 2 once again showcasing why they've been in the same hive mind when it comes to being able to hit marks. 2 of them near dead even on what they're doing on the racing group right now, and it's working to be able to pull away from McNeely and company. They're spending a little bit too much time trying to figure out a way around McNeely. Remember, there was some struggles with that 538 towards the end of the heat race that seen the packs really separate out, and everyone's starting to get bundled up behind that McNeely's kart.
So far, keeping an eye here as they work their way through. Under 9 minutes to go, plus 2 laps as they come through. Big of contact right there between Maxwell and Hendrickson as Maxwell tried to find his opening. Could not make it work. We'll keep an eye on these 3 competitors as this is the final battle, final step of the podium battle we're seeing here. And as they enter up onto the banking, heading down into the hairpin. No one making an effort right now as Wyatt has caught his teammate Fox through into the hairpin as they approach the infield section of the circuit. So far, no one giving an inch, just focusing on getting their marks through. Hendrickson had a little bit off pace right there. This could open the door for McNeely to get away as they come across the line. James Fox sets fastest lap of the race on the opening lap and heads back down into turn number 2. Everyone single file as Maxwell, the Mohawk man, tries to find his way.
Yeah, just trying to settle back down in the top 5 right now. Looking to chip away that gap at the moment. Chipping away is so difficult here with how rhythmistic this track could be. There it is for the send inside. Maxwell got the diamond line down side by side for position. Top 2 make their way single file and still run away as a unit while they continue to battle behind them.
Starting to separate a little bit there by the looks of it, though, Justin, from McNeely. He's got a couple of kart length advantage over Hendrickson, and Hendrickson has about a couple of kart length advantage over the driver of Diesel Maxwell as we watch the two leaders lead the charge. 7 minutes plus 2 laps to go across the line, and it's now going to go in the favor of Patrick McNeely, setting fastest lap of the race.
McNeely able to build a small buffer over everybody else. That's looking pretty solid now, but the consistency has to be there if you want a chance to close on up. Mind you, we've seen the top two stay with a couple tenths each other on these laps so far with what they've been able to do. James Fox, terrific driving all throughout this one so far to be able to keep marching forward in this running order. So, where will things stack up at the end? It's really up to these two with why they want to race things out here. Grayson Wyatt's speed should be starting to come in now to be able to have a little bit better pace than Fox if he wants to take it and battle it out.
Already as they come across the line with 6 minutes to go, Grayson Wyatt putting pressure on his teammate, trying to see if he can find an opening, not able to do so right there, as here comes Patrick McNeely making a run also, as he has caught the tail end, getting a little bit of the draft there as he tries to close the gap between himself and the top two. So far, not working out. He might have a run out of that second hairpin because James Fox is able to get a little bit more better run off corner exit right there. But the toe of the draft is helping keeping Grayson Wyatt in the play as they work their way through the bus stop, up the Daytona banking, and heading back into the hairpin. Wyatt just going to be the good teammate, try to just keep on working with him. A little bit of a bump right there for both of them. That bobble is going to cost him a couple of seconds right there. And as he does so, works his way through the infield of the section of the course and will continue to try to pull away from Patrick McNeely. Across the line, here they come. James Fox still holds on, but Grayson Wyatt putting on some incredible lap pace here along with Patrick McNeely. He is doing a great job of just keeping pace with your race leaders.
Absolutely here. Just keeping an eye on the stopwatch is what I'm keeping an eye on specifically. They've seemed to have plateaued out to some of their personal bests here. They can still push them an extra tenth or so, but right now they've kind of settled into the same pace wavelengths right now. For the most part, drivers like Maxwell going to have to focus up to close on up the gap to be able to hold on to a top four, or get to a top four, I should say, at this point. But right now, Grayson Wyatt seems to be comfortable just working together. Even though they're not trying to bump draft per se or trying to draft together as a unit as you would maybe expect. But these karts, you can just get that band together where you're so equal on pace and just run equal lines like this, even with the different marks that you would expect. They seem to know exactly what they're doing. Been coached very well. They're driving very well. Just picked up that extra tenth with, again, Grayson Wyatt just being only marginally quick or not quick enough to make a pass.
Watching on here, this battle for the race lead. McNeely starting to fall off the pace of your top two as they come up to Daytona. 3.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go. As they work their way out of the hairpin right now, that gap is starting to expand even more as James Fox is just doing what he needs to do, hitting his marks, not trying to push the envelope here, and he will continue to do so as they come out of the final corner. And a good run for him as he sets fastest lap of the race. McNeely and Hendrickson trying to see if they could work together. Those two are now separated by just about 0.2 of a second, because here comes Hendrickson with a big run. He's going to try to put the pressure to break into the podium.
Yeah, right now, Hendrickson putting together lap after lap, looking at the average in terms of the interval. Has been able to chip away to the race leader, but the gap between the kart in front has started rapid closing. Last time by was able to pick up a good 0.9 of a second, and now seems to be comfortably flying forward on this racetrack, able to push ahead of McNeely now, just able to run away. Hendrickson seems to have the long run down to be able to battle out and hold off the 538.
538 machine doing an incredible job of just placing the car in the right areas for him to hold position. McNeely continues on. Hendrickson also with a good run as they come across. Hendrickson, of course, showing some pace right now, but I have a feeling with how much time's left on the clock, they're going to run out of options with those two battling, while the leaders are still trying to just push away, waiting till probably the final lap till we see Grayson try to attempt to get around his teammate James Fox.
Yeah, at this point, I think it's Fox's race to lose based on what we've seen, even with it being a teammate. But at this point, it's just going to be, can Fox get a sweep of the day in the finals, be able to chance to celebrate, add multiple trophies to that podium celebration? It's been looking very strong for that case here, with Fox has carried all race long. The top two just seem content with where they're riding.
Certainly seems to be the case as Grayson Wyatt responds with the fastest lap of the race. Good run for him as he will continue to try to push the envelope with a minute plus 2 laps to go. I have to say, he is really showcasing some great speed here as they work their way out through the double apex and into the first of 2 hairpins here before they approach the back straightaway. Should be about 3 laps to go for our drivers as they head onto the back straightaway. Hendrickson still holds the gap over Patrick McNeely by about 0.3 of a second. Everyone else trying to just in their own place at their own time as Grayson Wyatt starts to go a little bit higher in the banking. See if he can build up some momentum on his side to make a charge at the front of the field as they work their way into the infield section of the circuit for what should be 3 laps to go.
Yeah, just focused up to close on up now at this rate. And one of the major things, Taylor, when it comes to a circuit like this is just being able to maintain tempo. And the tempo is quite firmly starting to fall off with the tires, starting to pass their cliffing point, it looks like, at this point for some of these drivers. So it's so critical to make sure you don't fry the tires here, even if you only turn so many laps on the race, because we've seen it where if you have a full weekend where you have to use the same set of tires, for example, we've seen drivers be absolutely toasted if they push too hard in their heat race or heat races at the national level. So much comes down to tire management, and we've seen that today from the top 2 where they've just been able to keep their tires cool and maintain with the battles. Here we go, 2 laps to go.
2 laps to go here for your race leader as they make the run into turn number 2 here to kick off this final 2-lap run to the finish. Fox doing everything he can. Grayson Wyatt just being the good wingman and just helping them continue to pull away. I have a feeling Grayson may try something here because, you know, James Fox has won 3 races already this weekend. Why can't Grayson have a shot at it? And he's going to try to show the nose a little bit as they enter that second hairpin down the back straightaway. Tries to set him up. Not going to work as they head down into the bus stop as they climb the banking here at Daytona. Up on the banking they'll go. And he goes a little higher to see if he can start building some momentum down onto the bottom of the racetrack. And as they work their way through, not going to work for them as they come into the infield section, and Fox breaks away a little bit from your second place driver of Grayson Wyatt. Wyatt starts to close back in as they come to take the white flag one more time.
Fox doing a great job in living up to the expectations of what you would expect from the 12 machine here at this facility. Grayson Wyatt would have to take a pretty bold lunge to get alongside and force something here on a teammate. You don't want to make enemies of your own teammates here. At this point, it's just a hope that there's a slip up right now. There was a nice gain in that side of the track for the hairpins on the far side, but not enough to actually make the poke with the apex off speed.
Running out of time as they approach into the banking of Daytona, heading towards the hairpin for the final time. Pushing the envelope. Grayson Wyatt only has a couple of corners to try and make it work for him, but it might not be to any advantage whatsoever. Heading into the final couple of corners, here he comes. James Fox goes 4 for 4 4 here at K1 Circuit. A great drive for James Fox and the Top Kart machine going 1-2, and he sets fastest lap of the race right there on the final lap.
As expected, with how things were looking, James Fox able to hold things back. Patrick Neely did keep things close for the podium spots, give him credit. But overall, the speed was just there the entire time around for Fox to be able to hold back his teammate. What a race. What a battle up front.
Absolutely an incredible fight to the finish here amongst our competitors, though. It's going to take a few minutes, let these karts come around and enter into their scale line, make sure everything's good and legal. And it's going to be your 206 Sportsman's next out on the circuit here as we get set to go racing for them as we're down to the final 4 of racing competition. 206 Sportsman, 206 Masters, KA Junior, and 206 Senior Light categories left to go for us here today on today's coverage of the K1 Circuit at Whiteland Indy Karting Challenge. And here's your starting lineup. Kason Hendrickson, Leah Semenelik, and Christopher Heinzen and Lincoln Wiley will lead us to the green flag here today.
And Hendrickson was able to take off the last race. I think there's a strong chance of that once again happening here with what we've seen for the 2, but Semenelik was able to make some lines work, make the kart stick where he was looking for in the late stages of the heat race. Will the driver of the green helmet be able to close up rapidly here and make things a race up front? It's going to be a true test here as the gates open up.
Gates open up and away we go, set to go racing here at the K1 Circuit, and they'll get set for their formation. Hendrickson had a great drive, but Leah Semenelik looking to see if he could capitalize on an incredible drive for him as he looks to try and go for a victory here this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of improvement compared to the heat race, I think, overall wise. But it's a clean slate, so to speak, when you have the final. You have some of the data to back up upon, but you're essentially having a full reset for the full clock, full distance of 10 minutes plus the 2 laps to be able to really plan things out. And if you've got speed, you have so much opportunity to plot and plan that we see a lot of this club level. This field, going to have to see what they have to keep up with the 2 kart.
Looking through the field right now, we will have ourselves a new race winner for today's action, as none of our drivers who are competing here today who won previous rounds were not in contention for the action here. As they make their way through, we'll get set to go racing here once again in the 206 Sportsman division. A little bit of jockeying here, trying to get themselves ready to go, but you have to realize we still have to slow it down here and get ourselves ready for the tram line start. And so far, so good as they wake their way into the tram line. And away we go. Green flag set in the hand for our flagman as he makes his way into the start zone. And here we go. Green flag is out for your 206 Sportsman. And already Kason Hendrickson takes over the race lead. Semenelik gets a little bit loose coming through there as we try to watch the action through our camera here as they work on through. And Heinzen drops back a couple of spots as he will move to P3. Lincoln Wiley sitting P4.
Now it's going to be wherever matches are in terms of the short run speed. We know the fire off is so strong when it comes to Hendrickson. Good job in the draft though, staying lined up, closed up a fair bit already all the way to the rear end of the 2 kart as they make their way through the final sector. Exactly what the 187 needed to start off with. The straight line speed seems to be there. Oh, and a bit of a mistake for Hendrickson, clipped the curbing.
Yeah, Hendrickson clipped the curbing right there. That's going to allow the driver of Leah Semenelik to set up for a nice passing opportunity heading into turn number 2, but he's not going to do so. He's going to just take his time, make the effort here, wait patiently. Surprised he didn't decide to do that here as they work their way through. And so far it's not going to play to his advantage as they approach up to the first of 2 hairpins.
Yeah, now just marching their way around the racetrack. That's been the status quo here for these races this weekend for the early portions for the most part. Seminolec's so quick when it comes to the back straightaway section, even with the chicane, able to close up 2 or 3 kart lanes every time they've gone through that part of the racetrack here today. Now it's going to become so critical to keep that up all run long. It's the front half of the course where you have to go all the way to start and finish line, that final sector that costs so much time, though. The couple kart lengths that he gains down the drafting sections just seems to go out the window in the final corners.
It really does. And I'm kind of curious to see how he's going to be able to overcome that here with these last 8 minutes plus the additional 2 laps, because he's got some great runs and some great pace, but I just feel like he is missing something to help him work his way up through the running order and try something different.
Tough thing is, you see a little bits of differences right now trying to use the banking as a bit of a ramp, for example, through Daytona. But that banking can only get you so far in terms of that ramp effect. Right now, cornering speed is just there for Hendrickson to be able to fire off, build a small buffer. The straight line has been what has been keeping the 187 right in the swing of things. Again, that time by the stripe, faster lap by a couple 1,000ths for the 187.
Really good pace right here as they work their way through the corner, and already a double apex here, and Simonelli doing whatever he can. And as he does so, he's going to work his way through and put the pressure on. But a big wide corner exit off for Simonelli. That's going to lose him a ton of time out of that hairpin on the back straightaway as Kaysen starts to pull away further up the banking. But that draft with the 206 Briggs & Stratton engines really helps him out to close back in as they come out of the hairpin.
Racing Kaysen is doing really good job making his way around the racetrack with the green slide. Now with 6 minutes to work with on the clock, though, it's trying to make sure there isn't a cha-cha slide with the back end. We've seen a couple times. Oh, a bit of contact there. Seminolec's closed up rapidly down the straightaway, gave him a tiny shot. By the way, Heinzen, not a great run so far. Dead last in the red machine. Right on behind Lincoln Wiley, who is pulling away from him by a couple 100s per lap at the moment.
Yeah, Lincoln Wiley having a nice recovery drive for him here today as he continues to improve, looking to get his first podium of the weekend. As he leads the charge and starts to pull away from Heinz in here as they head down the back straightaway into Daytona. And as they approach their way through, no changes though for Simonelli and Hendrickson at the time.
Point, I think right now for Heinzen, all you can do is go along for the ride. Obviously had a prime opportunity to pick up great points for the championship swing, especially with the championship points leader not in this race after the earlier incidents this morning. But at this point, even with the swing, Heinzen is going to actually lose ground compared to Seminolec's and lose a spot here if things stay the same. That machine of Seminolec's is in position to jump to second in the point standings as things run here.
Watching on as they climb up the banking here at Daytona as they work their way through, and Wiley is currently starting to pull further and further away. It's now 0.3 of a second ahead, as Kaysen Hendrickson is working on trying to improve upon his lap time as he works his way through into the infield section across the start-finish line. And it's looking good for him as he sets another good time ahead of Leia Simonelli, as Simonelli does whatever he can to keep pace. It's kind of now plateaued for Simonelli. Can't really gain ground, but is not really losing ground. So that's the positive here that is happening for him.
at this point, it's just trying to finish out the laps, have a positive end to the day here in this field. There it is up front now. Someone like closing up again. Is it just me, or is it getting slightly closer every end of the straightaway now at this point of the run? Hendrickson nearly picked up the rumble strips coming out of the corner. They work their way to the final quick right-left. Hendrickson starting to go wider and wider, opening the door for Simon to be able to get a good run-off corner exit to line things up for the straightaway.
Great run for him. Simonelli tries to see if he can poke his nose there to the inside. Cannot make it work, but so far, he'll try the over-under. Can't get the momentum, but he gets a big run off corner exit. Going to try to see if he can set him up in the double. As they come through the double apex, they're now approaching the double hairpins, and so far, he's working, but can't close that gap like he needs. Coming into the second hairpin, loses a little bit of time right there.
Yet again, trying to line things up for a pole. Looking now to get the ramp down, trying to peek to the inside, resets, forced to regroup, tried a different line yet again. Tried it once before, didn't work. Tried it with even more arc this time, didn't work either. Still a few more laps to be able to get this done with the way things are shaping up. Mind you, just 2 battle packs working their way around here. Sabadelek has the chance now. Inside, race lead, takes it away, parks the bus.
Great defensive driving right there by Simonelli to take over that position. Heading off into the corner, and as they do so, Simonelli sets the afterburners to try to break away, but Hendrickson going to keep up with the pace here as they work their way through, and he's got a good run down the back straightaway to try his work and pull away from Jason Hendrickson.
Yeah, now Hendrickson is doing what we were seeing a little bit before, a bit of a fall off to close up the run. Exact nightmare you have as a driver, knowing you have a fast kart, you have a great kart to be able to go for the race win, then you fade back as the tires start to lose life. Hendrickson needs to find a way to cool down the tires, then go on a reset charge here to have a chance to be able to peel his way back to the race lead. Only around coming up maybe near 3 laps to go here.
Yeah, this is going to be the case right now as they work their way through. And I have to say, yep, 3 laps to go is what we're looking like to be as they approach over into that second hairpin. Simonelli still holding strong. Hendrickson doing whatever he can to push the envelope. But he might have burned up his tires a little too much because Simonelli really has showcased the speed he has here as they head into the hairpin. Good run through there as he continues to push the progress here. And as they work through the infield section, he's got about a kart length advantage, but Kaysen gets a good run off corner exit. He may try something here through the inside as they approach towards turn number 2, as they head down into the braking zone. Hendrickson tries it, thinks better of it, slides the tires a little bit right there, has to gather it back up, but loses a little bit of running, but gets a good run through the triple apex.
Once again, trying to set something up. The wide berth usually opens up the door. This time, someone did not go wide. Hendrickson hit a bit of the curbing, slows him on down, forces him to reset. Now it's going to be very difficult to close this gap back up, even with the draft and the slipstream. Someone had that advantage to be able to close up with straight line. Hendrickson only able to close up an extra kart length or 2 in that same section in response.
Yeah, Hendrickson, I think, is just trying everything he can. I think the roles are kind of now reversed of what we saw earlier with them as we get 2 laps to go here for your leaders as they approach into turn number 1 and 2. And here they come through. And Simonelli still going on the defense to keep the driver of Kaysen Hendrickson behind. Hendrickson tried to show the nose a little bit, couldn't make it work. Out of the double, they will make their way through into the first hairpin. And Semenelek just being defensive, but goes a little too wide. That opens the door for Kason Hendrickson. We got a drag race down the back straightaway into the bus stop. Hendrickson gives way, but he is all over that back bumper. Let's see if he tries something as they head into the hairpin. Oh, he is not able to get to the inside of Leah Semenelek.
Your contact yet again as they look to reset once more. Coming up to the white flag this time by Diamond line again. Hendrickson trying to go a little bit more shallower, try and set something up. They hit the flag stand this time by defensive line. Semenelek already feeling the pressure. Built up a lot of speed down the straightaway to get a small cushion here, but Hendrickson has good cornering ability.
Hendrickson already just trying to see if he can find his way, but Semenelek white lining around the circuit to keep that driver behind him in the 206 Sportsman. Goes a little wide, same lap, different verse as they come down the back straightaway, and here comes Hendrickson with a big run, but could not close the deal to get around Leah Semenelek as they approach up to the banking of Daytona and hit the hairpin once again for the final time down into the braking zone. Both of them hit their marks. Hendrickson gets a great run through there, has to gather it back up and continue on his way. And so far, not working out in his favor as they snake their way through out of the final corner. Leah Semenelek collects his first career win here in the Indy Karting Challenge this season in a great race amongst Kason Hendrickson.
Strong run in the end, able to hold back the late charges by Hendrickson to reset to try and retake that lead. Semenelek, good effort once again. That family going to be very happy with what that is showcased in the Kart. Also a good battle for third, while we just held on by about a tenth of a second for third.
Absolutely, a tenth of a second separates Lincoln Wiley ahead of Christopher Heinzen to take home that final step of the podium. Great drive from our 206 Sportsman. That concludes their racing for the weekend, and now it's time to get set for the Masters drivers who are set to go out on the docket. And of course, McCorkadale, Brian J. Williams are going to be the ones to watch here as they get set to do battle in the action of 206 Masters.
Going to be an interesting time once again here for our third race of the final schedule. I'm curious where things stack up with McCorkadale after the chaotic end of that race, though. Finished off in fourth position in terms of the lineup for this one. Now we'll see if McCorkadale's able to bounce back here. Troy Toney, though, was so quick to be able to close up in the first place before things all went wrong for the 191.
Yeah, a lot of things did go wrong right there for McCorkadale in the final laps, but Kevin Semenelek, well, your son was able to do it. Can you respond and come out on top here with a win in 206 Masters?
Yeah, Tony, I think it is going to be hard to beat here with the long run speed that's in that Kart from the Indiana-based driver. Set track records before in the past in the state. He's also made social media posts in the past, able to make the headlines with the speed seen from him here. Posts a lot of his camera viewpoints around the racetrack, but getting set to go for what should be a fun one. Here to see where the rest of this field shakes up. Already, these drivers giving hand signals saying hello, ready to have some fun here. Looking like the field's all set to go. This should be interesting to see how they handle the tram lines here, Taylor.
Absolutely. Green flag is out, and away we go. And already we see Troy Toney doing a great job to take over the race lead as quickly as possible. Brian Williams moving up a couple of spots as, hello there, Mr. Wasp, as we get our way through the field. And already Leah Simonellik is dropping back to P3 with McCorkadale ahead of him. And Brian Williams looking to try to chase down Troy Toney.
We'll see how Tony is able to play things in the short term to be able to build a buffer for the rest of this pack yet again. Seen a lot of purple lap times in the heat to put himself in the position that he was in the first place. Corkadale still boxed in behind some of the others in the lineup here. Having a hard time sorting things out. Now makes a pass for third position, able to get one more spot up, but has lost a lot of ground while doing so on the pass. J. Brian Williams doing a decent job to keep up to start off this run, 6/10 back.
Yeah, he's doing a great drive to try to keep it up with the pace that he has here as they work their way through the triple apex corners. Now the double, as they approach now the double hairpins, and so far, Troy Toney doing what he needs to do. He has about a 6/10 advantage over Brian Williams. As McCorkadale, he's got a little bit of work to do as he sits in third position. He's trying to make some gains, but he still has to see if he can stretch out those legs a little bit and try and hunt them down as they come out of Daytona over towards that hairpin. Brian Williams picks up a little bit of time here, but like we talked about, Troy Toney seems to be better on the longer runs of this race, and he has a lot of trouble for McCorkadale. He is
that equipment.
He's out. What happened to McCorkadale? Something he's looking at the back end. Tough break for your championship leader of Evan McCorkadale, who is looking to take home his fourth win of the season possibly, but not going to come into fruition for him here today with a DNF, as Troy Toney looking for his third win of the season as he leads the charge heading up to the banking.
Yeah, McCorkadale's season just taking a bit of a hiccup now as a result of how things just went here. How everything's going to look for the championship? Well, point standings going to take a bit of a shakeup, you'd have to think, as a result here in terms of those totals. Now it's the matter on will J. Brian Williams go for a send on Toney. Looks to set something up on a line as more carts with issues.
McCorkadale comes back onto the racetrack, and looks like Kevin Simonellik out of the race with problems to his 412 machine.
That's a little bit interesting. Never seen a driver go to the garage area, then come back out in the karting side, at least. Normally, if you go back that way, you expect them to stay back there.
Yeah, I've never seen that happen before, but they will wait to see what officials decide to do with that. But McCorkadale is back out on the racetrack, one lap down, as Troy Toney and Brian Williams will battle for the race lead.
And yet again, Toney good at building buffers and building distance. Just solid when it comes to his lines right now. Doesn't overexert the kart. Just tries to hit the apex just right with a white line each and every time. Seems to have things focused up and dialed in on what needs to be done on the groove. And that's the tough thing. Both of these drivers are veterans when it comes to this facility, but it's also to where can you find that small difference outside of the kart setup? And the tough thing is you can only go so far once you're actually in the kart for how they are set up to battle it out on the racetrack and making sure you're within the white lines of the tech line.
Keeping on here as we watch Toney and Williams. Williams, I think, is now just trying to settle in a little bit here as he is about half a second off the pace and just was about a 10th off in lap times for your race leader, Troy Toney. as they work their way around the circuit, keeping an eye. Tyler Durman still in the hunt for a chance of a good finish for him. His first podium by the looks of it, as he works his way through. He's just pretty much just have to keep holding position for the time being, and he will end up on the podium here and doesn't go a lap down. As long as he stays on the lead lap, he will be good. Corkadale, he's got some work to do as he tries to see if he can at least set fastest lap of the race, which he could possibly do.
Yeah, there is that opportunity to at least build that for pride, you'd have to say. But at this point, it's just trying to finish to be able to say you finished the race. In the case of the 191, it's still points over Seminoak. That's the important thing in the table in the case of that 191 machine. But still, Tony keeping things nice and calm as he works his way around this racetrack. Nothing doing. J. Brian Williams has been able to make inroads like the hard hairpin this time, but has just not been able to get anything set up to make a move for this lead.
Yeah, I think he's just going to be biding his time, try to take care of his equipment. Yeah, he's running a great pace right now as he just set fastest lap of the race, which you touched on, but also still got a lot of bit of racing to go. And know for a fact, Troy Toney could possibly kick it in a little bit here. He could also be going into the save factor mode and not wanting to push the envelope here at this point.
Yeah, I think that's a mixture of the two right now. It's may as well save if you're not going to be able to be fast enough to make the pass, but also don't oversave to the point where you're backing up on your second off the pace or anything like that. They've got a 17-second cushion for the spots, mind you, right now. They can afford
20-second cushion
to do, yeah, even bigger. 4 seconds gained that time by. So it's just down to how the two of them really settle it in. But Corkadale, I think, has fallen down the pylon again. He's playing pulled off, and now Sabanowicz jumps in front of him.
Yeah, I think race officials called it and realized, hey, you can't pull back out onto the track.
Yeah, that's a good question, Mark, for the future, because yeah, I've seen drivers pull off to the side on the racing surface and pull into the grass and be able to get their carts back up. But karting's different compared to, say, if you it's a NASCAR race where you can pull in and out the garage area if you have mechanical issues. But still, interesting how that's played out for those two as we still have less than 2 minutes to go.
To touch on your fact, as long as if a cart goes off the track, as long as a track official does not touch the cart, they are still deemed in competition. If a track official does touch the cart, they are out, which track officials use by discretion to determine whether to intervene or not, depending on the severity of the situation. As we watch Brian Williams show the nose a little bit right here as he put some pressure on Troy Toney. Minute and a half plus 2 laps to go, looking at right around 4 laps to go, as right across the line, Brian Williams sets fastest lap of the race with a 56.8.
Yeah, able to chip away again, but not enough to do a move for the lead yet. That's been emphasized. Yeah, you can be fast. You can be a couple tenths quicker. But you can only do so much if you can't get alongside and actually pry your way up to the front to take over that top spot. Yet again, look at the response. Tony on the far side through Daytona, again, picked up all the time gained and threw it back into the racetrack to build a buffer yet again. Just the way this is going, as we should have 3 laps to go here.
As he carry him across the line, 30 seconds, so it'll be a 3-lap dash to the finish. And Troy Toney picks up about 2/10 on Brian Williams here as they come through the second corner and approaching the triple apex. Watching on, can he try to set something up? No, not yet, as they come through the double. And I think it's safe to say Troy Toney is now starting to kick in his afterburners a little bit here, realizing he has now the pace. We're closing in. Brian Williams might have also burned his equipment up a little bit as well, as the gap has stretched out to about 5 kart lengths.
Yeah, last time by he was within a couple of thousandths, Tony was, of his personal best. Look at the speed charts in the analysis. He's consistently stayed within a tenth or two his personal best. If anything, Tony has had an even curve, going faster and faster. That time by had one of his slowest laps of the race, in fact, since the start of the event. But Tony's curve is going the right way. J. Brian Williams had that valley point where he got faster, got close up to the rear end. It's gone right back to a peak up in terms of the lap time analysis, where it's been almost like a wave going slightly up, slightly down, slightly up, slightly down.
Yeah, it seems to be the case, but I think now the wave has subsided for Brian Williams. He is not going to be able to make up some time there with Troy Toney with a lap and a quarter left to go here, unless we see Troy Toney make a mistake between now and the checkered flag as they work their way through the infield section out of the final corners. White flag for Troy Toney as he comes across the start-finish line here. Gap is now at 1.1 seconds. And Toney will continue on his way as he continues to pull the gap. So far, so good. Williams trying everything that he can, but I think it's safe to say 206 Legends, definitely going to be a driver that's going to be dominating. The 206 Masters, he's got the pace, but I think he's got to figure out a little bit different scenario in order to try and take care of his equipment at the end of the runs.
Yeah, at this point, J. Brian Williams still going to have a good points haul out of this race, but Troy Toney doing everything near perfect all day long today to strike and perform. Just has to take that checkered.
Here they come out of the final couple of corners. Troy Toney picks up win number 3 to tie and wins with Evan McCorkadale. He will win your 206 Masters.
Good run by Toney yet again. Went from within a tenth to up by 9+. A strong run, and McCorkadale finishes dead last to the running order in that 191.
Yeah, tough break for McCorkadale. That's going to be some much loss of points in the championship, and we'll probably have a new championship leader when we come back for round number 9 here in the Indy Karting Challenge. As we will let the field come around, and Tyler Demon will come in with a third place finish for him. Great run on the chance to be on the podium. As now we wait for the field to come around, and it is time for the KA Junior
race. Fowles and Lapham in the top 4. Then you have Madsen Vegas, who is going to be in 5th. Laser, Ward, Thomas, and Wade amongst that field. 9 karts ready to do battle.
Yes, indeed. We're going to have ourselves a great fight here with the 9 karts that are about to head out onto the racetrack, and we're happy to have you with us as we're down to the final 2 races of the day as we get set to go racing here at the moment. And I'm going to say we're excited to have you with us in the closing of today's action.
Impressive races today. Some good battling, especially in the morning session. The afternoon's been a little bit more tamer here today. But sometimes that's how racing can go. Sometimes you have those back and forth affairs, and sometimes you have the chess matches.
Field now gets set for their formation lap as they work around the circuit here. And continue to lead the charge, but we'll get set for 10 minutes plus 2 laps in the final 2 races of the day.
This field going pretty quickly to set things up for the pace lap here. I think this field very eager with how quickly they're trying to rapidly get their way through to get themselves going here. Finally able to slow down to the normal pacing speed, so we're ready to go racing.
Certainly is the case here as the field works their way up through the circuit and into the tram line. A little bit too fast by the looks of it, and already getting out of shape here. Do we get the green flag? We do get the green flag, and we're racing in KA junior category. Ryan Mort already having to deal with some heavy pressure from Mason Galen and Andrew Avelos, but Mort will prevail and hold on to the position as they snake their way through the double apex. Mort checking out by a couple of tenths ahead of Mason Galen and Andrew Avelos as they work their way onto the back straightaway.
Yeah, great start for the front runners in this field as everybody else just maintains themselves in the early going. Mort already building a good buffer over the rest of the pack. Some big bubbles for some of these drivers as they make their way through the front portion of the track.
And all ready to put the first lap up on the board across the line. Ryan Mort, 49.8 to a 50.39 from Andrew Avelos, and he is trying everything. But Avelos starting to reel in your race leader, but I don't know if Ryan's just going to try and kick in the afterburners as we watch the battle for third with Galen, Matson Vegas, and Mason Ward jockeying around for the third spot.
Yeah, so far, starting to get a little bit argy-bargy out there, Avelos. So far losing some ground from the leader, but Galen still doing a good job to score solid points here. We've seen the speed kick up after 3-4 minutes before in that 64 before fading back to close out the last run. Expecting this to be the same, just trying to get the temperatures built up in those tires to be able to close back up rapidly. 51.9 for the race leader. Everybody else was in the 52-second bracket there to start things off for the first full-time lap.
And as we keep updates, Nolan Wade had an issue somewhere out on track, losing 3 spots there. Jordan Latham also dropping a couple of spots as well after starting in the 4th position. Your biggest mover so far has to go to Mason Ward, picking up 2 spots at the start of the race as they make the run up through the bus stop and up to Daytona as we see the drivers starting to compress a little bit as Ryan Mort is starting to pull away, but the battle for third with Galen, Matson Vegas, Ward, and Laser starting to get closer and closer as Laser is starting to see if he can find an opening around Mason Ward.
Yeah, right now Laser needs to find a way to close up. Already the 870 up to the top 3, by the way. Matson Vegas doing a good job in this race so far. Jump up into the podium positions, up 2 in this running so far, as the 64 is going the opposite direction. Pace doesn't seem to be there. There's some battling going on in the back once again, involving Laser and company. Laser parks the bus.
Welcome to the top 5, Mr. Lucian Laser, as he tries to see what he can do heading down the back straightaway and working his way through into the hairpin as he tries to work his way. Here's a battle for third between Matson Vegas and Galen. It's Top Kart versus Lando Norris.
Yeah, Matson Vegas just staying stable on the speed, set the fast lap. Galen just set the fast lap of the race, Galen should say. And now seems to be getting in position, though, where it's hitting a plateau. A little bit quicker, but not fast enough to make the pass. So difficult to break out of that valley unless you find some rapid speed in the hairpins in particular and have great drafting speed to combine that speed to set something up. There's the look right there. Able to get it lined up for the Daytona corner, went a little bit higher. Only got a car length or 2 closed up with the slipstream. The field at this point just coming up towards the halfway point in the race here, Taylor. Everyone keeping nice and calm. Mort just putting on a dominating race, but at this point, it's going to be important for that 64 to find a way to get some points picked up on the board. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mason Galen is really looking to try to get some points. He is a former race winner this season as well. Elijah Matson-Vigas has not won a race this season. I believe this is his first start this weekend to compete at the Indy Karting Challenge here for the 2025 season. Velos, of course, won yesterday. Ryan Mort picked up a win so far. There's only been one two-time winner in this class, and that's the driver in 5th position, Lucian Laser, who is trying to see if he can hold on and maintain. A good top 5 finish would be a good points day for him, but he's got to find a little extra and try to close the gap. As trouble for Laser, he's dropping like a rock. In fact, he fell all the way down to P8 and 9. What happened to Laser? We can try to figure that out here momentarily.
Obviously, something going on with the 800 kart, and they needed to find some spots to be able to try and keep up with Galen on the point sheet. Well, things have gone disastrous for that point sequence now, and it's all in the 64's hands to build up a buffer. If things were to hold, it'd be Laser's drop round, and likely will be as a result of this race. But Galen is also in that same position, so this may end up being the bank around for both of those karts, with the way things are shaping up with the front runners, with some of the part-time runners making appearances today.
Field now keeps up with the pace as they watch on with the battling for position here inside the top 5. Galen trying to see if he can break the top 3, but Matson-Vigas doing a stellar drive to keep on just holding him off, white lining a little bit around certain parts of the track to keep him at bay. And then on the straightaways, like you see here, he starts to stretch it out a little bit with that KA package and then climbs the banking as we watch Galen make a run. Looks around to see if he can find the opening, shows the nose out of the hairpin to set himself up for a pass.
Yeah, no nose poking, though. That's the tough thing right now between the two of them. The 64 has just not been able to get anything built up on this track. All this is while Ryan Mort is setting hot laps. Fastest lap of the race, only driver of the 52nd bracket. Just toasting the field by 9/10 last time by on the track. They are starting to be able to match up with the Fellows, though. Fellows, in terms of his consistency, staying a few tenths up over them at the moment. As a bit of a hand raise there. See what happens here as Galen tries to build up something, anything, to be able to get a run here.
Anything could be possible as Galen tries to find that way around the circuit. But so far, it is not coming to his help as they work their way through. A little bit of a shake of the nose right there from Elijah Matson-Vigas with his nose cone as they come across there. And that Lando Norris kart still attached to it, but I'd be concerned. Hopefully that thing doesn't pop up and continue to cause issues for him around the circuit.
Yeah, that is a huge thing to be able to have no issues with the kart, especially after such a long day. And you don't want damage build up for these drivers here with the way things are going here. So, looking to be very close now for 3 spots on the racetrack. Second spot is dropping speed rapidly. That 7 is falling right back into the clutches here of everybody else. And this could get interesting here with how intense this could get with the Vowels falling such at a rapid clip compared to some of these karts behind them. By a 10th that time by was to close up.
Field now works their way through here as we keep an eye on Mason Galen, trying to see if he can put some more pressure on as they are closing in on Andrew Avelos. So we're about to have a 3-horse race for second as Avelos falling further and further into the clutches because he has been struggling with pace right now. He was a good 10th and a half off of pace compared to Matson-Vigas and Galen. Meanwhile, for Ryan Mort, he was 7 to 6/10 of a second faster than everyone inside the top 5.
Yeah, so far this race has just gone all Ryan Moore's way. Is all I can really say to that. But here we go. Within 5 kart lanes now is that gap. All starting to bounce back after losing so much ground throughout this run. Galen looked to set up, thought about a poke, stays in line through the hairpins, and now seems like it's time to go. Coming up to 2 laps to go this time.
Here they come, Ryan Mort out for a Sunday drive as we watch the battle for second. Avelos holding strong here, but can Elijah Matson-Vegas and Mason Galen try anything to set themselves up for a run? 2 to go here as Ryan Mort, he decides to set the fastest lap of the race with a 50.58, 7.3 seconds ahead. Could be a little bit more and, yeah, make it 8.1 seconds separating them as they improve on their lap time, but it's all too little, too late for these drivers.
Yeah, at this point, there's not much you can really do except go along for the ride, try and find a way to craft your way a run, make the move, go from there. And the tough part of that equation is said move. The opportunities just have to present themselves very easily all day long for anybody here in this race or in any of the races. Las Vegas still needs to close up more. They set some personal bests as they start to push to close out the run. But as the white flag waves, that buffer needs to be a couple kart lanes closer if the 870 wants to take away a second spot here.
Field now works their way as we watch Ryan Mort here lead the charge as they come through, heading into the double hairpins. Ryan Mort, just absolutely a stellar drive for him today and the MPG Kart Republic. Give a little hand wave right there to some of the track officials and the cameraman as he works his way through. And there you see the battle for second a little further back as Avelos has got enough breathing room to make it to the end to finish in second place. A great drive for him as here comes Ryan Mort coming towards the front of the straightaway here as we watch the battle for second. Avelos comes to the start-finish line, checkered flag in the air for Ryan Mort to win your KA Junior category.
Absolutely dominating race. What else can you really say? Everybody else just stayed in line the entire time around. Even with the close-up of the 870 and the 64. Just dominant days as Lapham is able to at least get a top 5. Laser, big DNF for the point standing. Shake-up will likely be his drop here. One of his 2 drops.
And with that, we are down to our final race of the day. Your 206 senior light category, and we're excited to have you here to wrap it up. It's Levi Wilbur and Braden Heber are going to go at it once again. Adam Maxwell and Gage Justiano in row 2 with Colton Kelly and Colin Harden in row 3. Andrew Petrie and Andrew Goldman in row 4, and Zachary Allen and Ethan Williams round out your 10-kart field as we get set for the final race of the day here for Kart Chasers coverage of the Indy Karting Challenge from the K1 Circuit at Whiteland Raceway Park. And we're happy to have you here with us for the conclusion of today's action. Justin, it's been a day full of excitement, full of chaos, and glad to hear that everyone's going to be okay and hopefully back for the next round of the Indy Karting Challenge.
Yeah, it's been a long day of racing since we started things off this morning at about 8:45 in the morning. So now we look to finish things off stellarly strong. Heber, I think, is going to be someone to keep an eye on, absolutely, who's dominated much of the season here. Will he be able to make a pass on Wilbur, and better yet, be able to prevent any lungebacks? So much coming up here with what we're about to see for the battling up in the front, especially for the top 2.
Field now works their way around the circuit as they make their way in for formation to get set for the final race of the day. Levi Wilbur, Braden Heber is the one everyone's been waiting to watch these 2 battle, but keep an eye on Adam Maxwell, who took home the win yesterday in your 206 light category, and Braden Heber looking to see if he can finally get a chance to be on the top step of the podium here in your 206 senior.
Yeah, right now, whole field needs to catch up to him for one thing, for the pace lap. But Wilbur has the ability to do it. It's just a matter of getting the execution down here today to be able to pull off an upset. He did pick up a win in one of the finals back in round 4. Can he find some magic in a bottle, try and get what would be his 3rd of the season?
Enter into the tram line, final 10 minutes and 2 laps to go. Green flag is out, and already Levi Wilbur goes on the defense to take the race lead away as they approach over to the triple apex corner. So far, so good for them as they make the run into the doubles. And right now, Heber losing a little bit of touch as he drops back a couple of positions. One kart goes into the dirt and continues on. We'll have to see who that is. But as they work their way side by side, battle for the race lead between Levi Wilbur and looks like to be Gage Justiano, who's trying to get in the hunt, or Adam Maxwell. We'll find out as they work their way up through the Daytona curve into the break zone of the hairpin. And it's so far going to be Levi Wilbur over Adam Maxwell, who tries to fall back in line in second. Heber, then Justiano, your top 4.
Justiano, another AMAX kart. Haven't seen him really all season. Was one driver, made some appearances back in 2024 here at this racetrack. Justiano down to 4th. It is Maxwell. That's the one on the push. And he was fast this morning. He looks to go fast to close out the day. Lined up bumper to bumper here as he looks for a chance to go for the lunge.
Here he comes. Heber is under pressure from Justiano, and Justiano tries to go for the 2-for-1 special. He'll get 3rd position away from Braden Heber, as here comes Adam Maxwell to give Levi Wilbur a bit of a push as they head to the Daytona banking.
Right now,
Heber tries to see if he can set himself up for a pass, but through already. Here they come across the front straightaway. Maxwell, your new race leader. Wilbur, Justiano up to P3 as Heber falls back to 4. But here they come on the defense, side by side for that positioning as Justiano is trying to hold that 3rd position ahead of Braden Heber. Here.
Yeah,
we keep catching
right
each
now,
other a little bit right there,
Heber
Justin.
on the push.
Look, Braden Heber makes a run as they work their way through, and already some great racing action here amongst our competitors as Maxwell tries to see if he can pull away. You hear the crowds cheering in the background as Caden Wharf moves up after his DNF in the heat race into the top 5 for the first time, gaining 6 positions for him as he tries to see what he can do as Justiano struggles for holding on to the 4th spot.
Yeah, Heber looking for a place to poke really quickly right now, and we know how difficult it's been for him to pass. Tried a different line before going to the last of the hairpins for the back straightaway. They make their way to the back side of the course now. Maxwell showing he can defend well. Usually has gone shallow when he feels like there's too much pressure building up from behind. That time he didn't white line. Stays lined up with Wilbur, electing to keep pushing him for now.
Keeps on pushing here for the battle for the race lead as here comes Wilbur with a head of steam to push the driver of Adam Maxwell. He'll set fastest lap of the race. Heber trying to get back in the hunt as well as the top 3 have pulled away from 4th on back.
Yeah, the top 3 have just dictated the tempo now in this one. Heber just running as the caboose, needs to find a way to force the issue pretty soon here, because I don't think you'll remain patient for too much longer here. Lost a lot of ground coming to the last of the hairpins this time. Resets once more, coming up to halfway by the time they reach next time by.
Coming up through as they climb up to the top of the hill through the infield section of the course right now. And Wilbur gives a little tap of the bumper to Maxwell. That's going to bring Heber into the mix as they stack up a little bit. Here they come down to the inside and across the front straightaway they will go. And how about Braden Heber setting fastest lap of the race in a 55-second bracket as everyone jockeys for position here in the closing stages.
Everyone just plotting and planning once more with half a race to work with here. A lot of time to consider a run.
Absolutely. As they cross the line here, everyone now trying to jockey for those two as they have pulled out to a 1.5 second advantage over Caden Wharf. Wilbur just really now having to figure out what he can do. He's got plenty of time to work with and everything, but he seems to just be missing one piece in order for it to come out on top for him and get around Adam Maxwell as they come through here. He looks to try to cross him over on the outside, inside run as he gets the run he needs down the back straightaway. So far, he'll look over the shoulder to check to see where Heber is. He's got some room from Heber as they climb the banking.
No pokes yet. Wilbur is content right now. He likes where he's at to be able to make a move in the next few minutes, a couple minutes out from that opportunity. At this point, Heber can't afford to remain the same level of patience-ness in this regard. That Kart needs to take over second spot to be able to get comfortable. Then he can remain patient for another minute or so to set something up for the final 2 laps right now. Heber on the offensive has to find a way to go ahead here. Can't just wait for Wilbur to try and go and then try and pick off Wilbur.
He's got to try something quick here as Wilbur is starting to lose a little pace and under pressure from Heber as he comes down across the back straightaway here. Heber gets a good run, but now loses a little bit from the draft that we're seeing from Wilbur to Maxwell. Up the banking they'll go under 3 minutes plus 2 laps as they make their way through into the hairpin. And it's not going to work out for him as he tries to now settle back in line to get set for another go at it here with only a few laps to go. Probably looking at 5, maybe 6 laps.
Still not a lot of laps when you think about the way things have gone here today in these races. It's one of our quickest classes of the day in terms of lap times, mind you. We need to stay at the back end of Wilbur here. Just those little mistakes are the main difference between a great race and a good one.
Absolutely, and we're seeing a great race about to unfold amongst our top 3 in your 206 Senior Light. Across the line, how about this? Maxwell and Levi Wilbur running almost identical lap times there amongst themselves as they get themselves set for the final push. 1.5 minutes to go plus 2 laps as they work their way through the double apex. Wilbur tries to go a little high, open the door for Heber briefly, but Heber's going to try to fall back in line, set something up into the hairpin, but not going to work as Maxwell goes a little wide, but still has the advantage on the race lead.
Yeah, right now Wilbur matching lap times overall. Last time by was 1/1000 of a second behind the lap time of the 41 machine. See where things stack up from this previous time here. About 3 laps to go right here and now. The times all within a couple thousandths. Here we go. Maxwell starting to get defensive. Here's what Heber was waiting for, it seems, to pick them off. Not what we were expecting per se, but Heber's able to make things work this time. Up to second, and now he's going to have to push hard. Only a couple laps to close up 4 kart lanes.
Heber now has quite a bit of work to do now as he has fallen back to about 3 kart lengths. Levi Wilbur's going to give him a little bit of a push as they make the run up to the Daytona banking as they come out of the bus stop into the hairpin. We'll see what the gap is as they come around to get 2 laps to go for today's action here at Whiteland as they work their way through into the infield section. The final couple of corners, he has brought it down to less than a kart length between the two of them. out of the final corner. 2 laps to go for your leaders across the line. The gap is just a quarter of a second as they head into turn number 2, and already you see Braden Heber now not pushing the envelope just yet, just trying to see if he can set himself up maybe for a run on the back straightaway. Maxwell has gone a little wide on that final hairpin a couple of times.
Yeah, he has around this racetrack, but right now has to sort something out pretty quickly. If he wants to be able to have any sort of lunges right now, needs to be much more closer. We've seen drivers be able to reel the gap down if they're able to focus up over the course of a couple laps. A little bit wider for Maxwell in his run. Hebert's kept it planted, closed out most of the gap. That drop was perfect. That run coming out of Daytona was exactly what he needed with Maxwell not having the best of quarter exits. Now he tries to set something up for the white flag lap this time.
One more time around. Maxwell goes on the defensive. Heber going to follow him, maybe give him a little push into the corner. Not going to work out for him as they come through into the triple apex. And here he comes. Wilbur trying to set himself up for a bit of a run. So far, not going to work out for him as they come to the double. Heber trying to see if he can go to the inside. Will he send it? No, he can't. Here comes Wilbur with a run. He tries to go around the outside. Crossover move. Maxwell goes high. Side by side. Battle for second as they drag race over towards the bus stop chicane. Maxwell having everything he can have happen to him work in his favor, but here comes Heber. He clears the driver of Levi Wilbur for position as they head into the hairpin for the final time. Nose to tail. Here's a chance for Heber to try to set something up through this section of the circuit as they come through the infield. Tries to see if he can get to the inside. Not gonna work. It is going to be back-to-back wins for Adam Maxwell across the line as we see black flags given out. Adam Maxwell, your winner here in 206 Senior Light.
Great race, great excitement overall in that one. But in the end, it's going to be Maxwell that unofficially gets the advantage up front. An exciting day coming to a close basically here, Taylor. What a run.
What a run indeed. It's been some crazy excitement. We did have, unfortunately, one red flag incident this morning, but glad to hear everyone is okay. We'll hopefully look forward to seeing more exciting action throughout the season here of the Indy Karting Challenge for the racing here at the K1 Circuit in Whiteland. Of course, the next time you'll see a Kart Chaser broadcast will be here in Indiana the next time for the United States Pro Kart Series at Newcastle for their round of the United States Pro Kart Series. Of course, the next time we will be back here for action at the Indy Karting Challenge for our K1 Circuit at Whiteland won't be till just about September as we get the official date for that event. It is going to be September the 6th for the 9th round of the Indy Karting Challenge. So make sure to tune in on Kart Chaser for the next round of the Indy Karting Challenge. Next week for the United States Pro Kart Series. Of course, we want to say thank you to our amazing production and camera operators out there in Indy, and we'll look forward to seeing you the next time on Kart Chaser. For Justin Prince, I'm Taylor Burris. Thank you for tuning in to Kart Chaser's coverage of the Indy Karting Challenge.